What if I told you that the key to success in life is not in you having all the resources that you need, but rather in you making use of what you already have to create or attract the resources that you need? In this video, I'll share with you a powerful story of how I used this principle to transform my life and create a business that is now worth over $2 million from nothing.
More and more people are using Rokel SimCopper Plus in their everyday lives. Did you hear that? She just transferred money for her daughter's school fees. And this man just paid for some products. Ah, Mr. Abu, are you sending money to your wife again?
Yes, like Rokel SimCopper.
Ah.
Yes, like having money in my pocket.
Ah, excellent.
Thank you.
He just bought some eggs. The world is digital, so keep up with the times. Have you got a payment to make? If so, just download Rokel SimCopper Plus now. You can download the Rokel SimCopper Plus app from Apple iStore and iPad or Google Play Store for Android users. You see, it's fast, safe and reliable.
Wondering how to activate your AfriMoney account? It's easy. Dial *161*8*3#. Enter your default PIN or old PIN and press send. Enter your new PIN and press send. Enter your new PIN again. You'll receive a message confirming your PIN change. AfriMoney. Fast, easy, safe.
Hello and welcome to the show. In case you don't know me, I'm Joe Abbas Bangura. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've built at least 3 businesses that have gone on to do annual revenues of between $500,000 to $1.5 million. For somebody who's born to illiterate parents and had to take his O-level 3 times, how was I able to achieve this? I created this channel to share with you lessons from my journey that may be useful to you as you set out to create your dream future. By the end of this video, you would learn how to use your natural talents and abilities to create and attract the resources you need to build the life of your dreams. And secondly, you would learn that if you're determined enough, you can always find a way to create the solutions to the challenges we face in life. So one of my weekly routines is a jog every Saturday morning that I do from the Freetown Golf Club down to Family Kingdom and back. Every Saturday morning I do that. Now, across the entrance of the golf club, there's always been a patch of grass there that have always bothered me seeing it there. On the left and right, on both flanks of this patch of grass is pristine sand that you would see there. But there was this patch, and it seemed as if I was the only one that had been bothered by it. One morning, as I got to the golf club, I said, you know what? This patch of grass must come off today. I called the security guard who was stationed in the golf club and said, here's some money, go across the street. There are some guys there who were posted there by the IOM, International Organization for Migration. They had been repatriated back to Sierra Leone after a failed trip to go to Europe. And so they had this assignment that they were doing there. And I said, give them this money, tell them to clean this patch of grass. The guy came back to me a few minutes and said, okay, the guy said they don't have the tools to do this. All they have is a shovel and a broken rake and, a long-handled broom. They're not going to be able to do this. Okay. I drove my car out of the golf club, parked by the side of the road next to the patch of grass. And I jumped off. I just took one look at this patch of grass. Something said to me, it's possible that even with a bare hand, you could pull this out. Okay, stepped out of the car and I went there and did a tug, just did a few tug on a patch that I've held onto, and I was able to pull it out. My resourcefulness gene instantly kicked in, and watch this footage for what followed. So it's a funny stuff. And it's part of maybe a lot of what I've tried to teach over the last couple of years about resourcefulness. What holds us back from advancing in life is really not resources, it's our resourcefulness. It's the way we use our mind. It's the way we use our mind to create what does not exist. Thinking outside the box. Finding a solution where there's no solution. Think constantly. Because 5 hours after you've said there's no solution, you will be the same person. But if you keep thinking about how there could be a solution if I think enough, this is what leads to where we are today. I'm sweating. I usually take my morning jog every Saturday morning. I do this from the golf club down to Family Kingdom. That's what I do every Saturday morning. It takes about an hour, 10 minutes. I came back from my jog. I've always seen this spot here. I wish I had taken a photo of the before. But I've always seen this spot as a patch of garbage in the midst of nice, neat sands on both sides of the beach. Just across from the golf club, by the entrance. I called somebody at the golf club. I said, is a guy who's one of the security guards there. And I said, can you please find somebody to work on this and clear up the space? And I gave him 30 millions. And said, look for somebody. Maybe a bit was for himself, a bit was for whoever was going to do this job. He came back to me after 3 minutes. I went into my car. As I was driving out, he came back to say, the guys that he had told, these guys from tourism, these are youth that we brought together by IOM and partners to be able to help with cleaning the beach. And it's good stuff because they will be earning some allowance. He came across the street and spoke to one of them, and they said, they don't have, is there a cutlass they were looking for? They don't have a cutlass to do this job. I said, okay, what did they have? They had a rake, the rake was broken, wasn't strong enough, and they had a shovel, and they had some handled brooms, long handled brooms. That's all they had. Again, resourcefulness. It's not resources. So they were complaining about the resources they did not have. We don't have this, we don't have these tools, we don't have these tools, we don't have these tools. So I said to them, okay, let me try. I came down, parked my car, and jumped here, and just tried a few of the, the small bushes that were here. And I saw you could pull them by the roots. And I started, and I called them to join me. And this could have taken 15, 20 minutes. They were planning to go back to the office to get a rake. To do this, it's about resourcefulness. It's never about the resources. It's always because if you're committed enough, if you're determined enough, you'll always find an answer to the questions you're having in your mind. You'll always find a solution to the problems you're having to deal with. If you are determined enough, you have a strong one, you can always find a solution. This is what we just proven here. And so in a space of 15, 20 minutes, without their hands, they gave me these gloves. We've done 80% of the work that we could have done. And it's easy for this place to become just like the other end of the beach. Clean and nice. Take the other end of the beach from me. Take the video of the other end of the beach. Take that. Yeah, and take the other end. Take the other end. So you will see clearly what that's about. What's your name? Speak louder. You dey get what too? Get to all? You sure? Okay, what's your name? I said to Naomi, inside that. You could target. Malin, na dey come on. Where you inside that? Big Water Street. What you know have been on do school-wise up to now?
Well, after school.
Which school you attend?
I attend
Anzaru Secondary School. When is it? My 91. Okay. Second Motopia. Okay, Anzaru Secondary School. What do you mean capital? What's the capital?
Well, I come from the I belong to Tuasai.
You see Tuasai Canton. How you end up in a beach this morning for play?
Well, a program in IOM becoming a migrant.
You've been plan for travel outside the country. You know, you come back. So now I don't do this job.
Yeah, because we know exactly the situation. We don't count it for pay or good money will not be able to travel again. So I am talking to say due to how come doing integration. So government try for the limited transport.
For them to come back in life. How far you going to school?
Now they can see to us. They don't see to us the floor now.
So okay, you not been planned for you not been travel out of the country.
No, I travel. I all travel.
Which part you go?
Algeria.
Algeria and this stuff.
Yes.
Lots of stories for how far you been with her?
We stop at Algeria.
Now Algeria. Okay. we got popular story. I don't hear a lot of the stories, but I think it's something we have to drill down into. But now that you are here, what you want to learn this morning quickly? I'm waiting on the stuff.
Well, we learn say one, effort, the effort, to get effort, then two, we learn say anything where you plan, you do plan.
Anything what you plan, anything what you determine, it's never, and listen to me, you don't have to, and I want to say it to you, I want to say it to young men there, you don't have to run to Algeria, you don't have to risk your life to go to Europe. Some go try, I need for, what I would bring come the statistics as to what the figures say, the percentage of people who they succeed versus the one that way they try. Once we share those percentages, maybe you have something in your mind to now know, no, I cannot do this. There's something else I can do. It's really about resourcefulness. It's not resources. We have a lot of resources in this country. We are not resourceful. As individuals, as a community, as a society, we are not resourceful enough. I must say that you talk about diamonds. We have a lot of diamonds. We're not resourceful. There's something else that is needed to mix with resources to make resources turn value in our life. And that's the journey we've been going and teaching and coaching and preaching and getting people involved so that we could be able to do this. But a message today. Let's clear this place. We don't have a rake. We don't have the resources. Is that true? Okay, I jumped in there. I proved by just trying to pull one or two of this stuff, I proved that that can be done. And all of a sudden, in 15-20 minutes, you don't clean up this space. Just imagine if you could apply the same principle to lots of other things in your life. Lots of other things that you're battling with, that you've given up, I don't have a solution, but that you could say, can I divide this problem and try for solve them? Anyway, I hope this is useful to you this Saturday morning. Me sweating all over the place, but I think it's a lesson that these guys have learned. It's not about resources, it's never about the resources, it's about resourcefulness. It's about your ability to think of solutions, decide solution, or they think of answers, decide answer, or they provide thoughts in your mind, think outside the box, and solve problems where people say no get solution. Keep thinking, keep pushing. God bless. Well, as you could see, we were able to do this within 20 minutes. Now, this incident confirmed a discovery. This confirmed a major discovery I'd made quite a very early stage of my life. That what really holds us back from advancing in life is not the lack of resources, but rather the lack of resourcefulness. It's not about what we do not have. It's about our failure to make use of what we already have to create the resources, create or attract the resources we need. Despite not having the best of tools, we were able to clean this patch of garbage and grass within 20 minutes. This experience confirmed a core belief of mine that if we're determined enough, we can find a way to create the solutions to the challenges we face. And how was I able to develop this resourcefulness mindset? Let's start with my youth. You must have been tired of hearing the story how I was born to illiterate parents, failed my O-levels, dropped out of school, and I was in a choir in church. And in this choir, we had a music director, Santigi Koma. I've featured him in one of the shows in the past, and he knew my skills, that I was not just only good in musical instruments and a lead vocalist in church. I walked to his house, which was just across the street from where my parents lived, and after a while discovered that there are some needs in his house that I could help him fix. Couple of stuff. I could do his laundry very well, do them all very well, iron them, place them very well. He had a motorbike, a Suzuki motorbike, NB2195. I would clean that for him every day before he gets to the office. For him to leave, before he leaves to go to the office. And I would, every weekend, I would clean the house. They had some cement tiles, and I would spend maybe 2 hours every Saturday morning, and I would clean that place so very diligently. I wanted to go back to school. I didn't have the money to go back to school. I didn't allow for my lack of the resources I needed to hold me back. I used what I had. I had the time, I had the energy, I was able to roll up my sleeves and do what nobody else in the house cared to do for him. Nobody else in the house cared to do for him. When it was time for me to go back to school and take my O-level exams, guess what happened? Santigi paid my fees. Santigi paid my fees. The lesson here about resourcefulness is not about what you do not have, but it's rather about your failure to make use of what you already have. My energy, my time. I had the time, I had the energy. I could roll up my sleeves, do the hard work to create a relationship that created the obligation, so that when it was time for me to go to school, he paid my way. He paid my way. Big lesson. It's not about what you do not have. It's about what you do with what you already have. Your gifts and talents. Santigi became very supportive to me. Up to the time I got married, up to the time I got my daughter, Josetta. We stayed in his house. My wife, we could have gotten Josetta from that house. I got my daughter there, but he became such a solid pillar in my life. The lesson again there is, it's not about what you do not have. It's about using what you have. It's about using what you have. It's about using what you have already. Natural talent and ability and skills and energy and time. And your muscles. To create and attract favor, attract help that you need to move you forward. Let me give you a second lesson of my childhood. That was Francis J. Issa. Now, I already told you about my background in music. Now, I never studied music formally. Did a bit in secondary school at the Albert Academy, but never actually formally studied music. Did formal study of music, professional music. Now, but I was lead vocal in my church. Hey, in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. I was the one-eyed man in my fellowship. I was lead vocal. I could play the accordion and I could do all of those things. Now, so there was this senior police officer who got fascinated with my skills, and that he invited us to his church, Price Memorial United Methodist Church at Dwazak, at New England, at Dwazak Farm. He invited us to his house. He was so fascinated with my skills. And one of those performances, he pulled me aside, and then we started chatting, and he asked, what was I doing? And try to find out what else I was doing in my life. Then I had the opportunity to share with him the fact that I was taking my AAT exams. That's Association of Accounting Technicians. One of the problems I was facing that point in time was because my employer was the government that was paying for my fees. It took so long to process the fees with the quarterly allocations that sometimes by the time the fees, I got my fees, the deadline for the payment of the exams would have lapsed. What he offered to do was to pay my fees, give me an advance to pay my fees, and once the government paid me back for my fees, I would reimburse it to him. That's the agreement we got. And the last fees he paid, the day I was going to tell him I had passed my final exam was the same day I went back to him with a check that had been paid by the government. So if I had waited for the government to pay before I would take my exams, I would never have been able to take that. That's favor that I created. That's help I was able to attract. How was I able to do that? By using my musical gift, my talents, my natural talents that God gave me to create the attention, to attract the support, the people, the circumstances, the situation that was needed to move me forward. Lesson number 1 today is that you could use what you already have. Resourcefulness is not about success in life. It's not about having all the resources you need, but it's about using what you already have. So two examples, my natural talents in music and stuff moved me there with Francis J. Issa, and using my time, my energy, rolling my sleeves up and digging down on the floor to clean, attracted the help that I needed to be able to go back to school when I needed it. Let me take your journey back. I'd shared with you how my transition in life started in 1989. That's when I got this, huge event, epiphany. That's when I had this huge epiphany in my life, and decided I was going to not use my parents, the difficulties that I faced in my childhood to define my future, but by the sheer use of the choices I make every day, I would transform my life. That's when it started. Once I went back to take these O-levels exams that I've always touted about, I've shared about, I saw the result. I passed that exams. I started sharing my story instantly, almost instantly. I started sharing, you know what, this works, life works, it's our choices. Now, that's when it started. It was just in churches. That's 1989. Now, I did this for 10 years till 1999. I would share my stories in churches. I would share my stories, across the National Pentecostal Church, youth activities that we had. 1999, we had the rebel invasion of Freetown, and I relocated to the west end of Freetown. Had the opportunity to be connected with BBN FM 93, and I took this message to radio. That was 1999, 10 years. The show was called Faith Partners Club, and again, it was just sharing in a targeting a Christian audience. Then 2004, 5 years after I'd gone on radio, it became fully motivational, and I changed the name to Winning Ways, from Faith Partners Club to Winning Ways. Just a thought in my heart, just me sharing my thoughts, just me sharing my testimonials and the lessons and experiences in life. It became, Winning Ways. So from 2004 to 2011, I hosted two big shows. There was one at British Council. There was another one at the Mayata Conference Hall. We sold tickets for those shows, and they were fully sold out. And, immediately after the second event at the Mayata Conference Hall, I went away to the US on a scholarship by the US government, and I came back. Once I came back in 2010, it was July 2010, I came back with the idea of taking this show to television, taking it to television. So it took me from July 2010 until January, up to January 2011, before the show was birthed on television, and I got the name Life by Design. That's the name we gave to it, because it was just a story of my life. It's from zero, from nothing. I was just using what I had at those points in time, the natural gifts and talents that I had. It went on television, and there's something I should show you, I should share with you about what happened. By the time I went on television in January 2011, I had no camera, no staff, no experience presenting and producing TV shows, and no money to pay for the production and airtime costs to broadcast these shows. I had nothing. Just my thought, just my ideas, just my natural gifts and talent. That's all I had. Now, what did I have to do? Again, the lesson is, it's not about what you do not have. It's really down to our failure to use what we already had. Now, I didn't have cash to do this. So what did I have to do? I leveraged the relationships that I already had. I had relationships with the Sierra Leone Commercial Bank, which went far back during to the disarmament period. And I had those relationships there. And I said, I could go to Sierra Leone Commercial Bank for sponsorships. And I did. And they jumped in and said, yes, we're going to sponsor the show. I've had this lifetime relationship with AfriCell. So AfriCell has always been there for me. And I said, okay, went to the MD, said, can you sponsor the show on television in 2011? Said, of course, Joe, we would do anything for you. So I leveraged the relationship I already had there to be able to make sure I could pay for the airtime. Now let's talk about equipment. We have no equipment. What did we have to do? And I paid tribute to Josephus Mama, who was then at the SLBC, blessed memory. And there was George Lewis and Pastor Ea Momo. There was another Lewis, there was George Lewis, there was another Lewis that helped us in this journey. But I didn't have anything, no camera, no camera, no editing equipment, there's nothing. I just leveraged the relationship, spoke with these guys, and because I now have the sponsorship, I could use the sponsorship money to be able to pay these guys to be able to produce the show. I had nothing. I was going on with what I had. I had no staff. My first staff was Francis Koroma. Francis, we met in a very strange event that involved some stuff at AfriCell, and I took Francis to the beach one morning and sold him the idea for him to become a producer for the show. Producer, runner. Francis was everything. He became the first staff for Life by Design. We're talking about 2011. Now, once Francis came on board, There's nothing. Now, it was during that point in time that actually just registered this show as a not-for-profit organization. Once I did, I set up a bank account. There's nothing, no revenue coming in except what was coming in from the sponsorships. Okay, I registered the show. I registered the company as a not-for-profit, and then at some point in time, I was actually paying in money for myself personally into the account to be able to pay Francis's salary. I got my finance manager, that was then the finance manager for the bank, and I got David Renner to be a co-signatory for me to this account. There's an account, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. But I was already setting up the institution for what you now see. And so I set up this institution I set up this institution that got going. And so this is how this show started, 2011, institutionalized, registered with a bank account. I had nothing from the beginning. With sheer use of resourcefulness, I was able to create everything that did not exist. And here we are, 12 years later. I am most known in this nation. My impact and effect of this on this nation is mostly out of a result of what I've done over the last 12 years on the show. Would you believe that? And it started from nothing. Sheer resourcefulness. I used what I had, one step at a time, to create what you now see. And maybe that was the tip of the iceberg, because once I had registered this company as a not-for-profit, then we started moving from there. 2013, I was working with Paul Skiller, ACTB Savings and Loans, as a managing director, building this business. Paul Skiller, the founder for ACTB Savings and Loans, got interested in what I was doing in Life by Design. And he gave me £10,000. He gave to the business £10,000. That was about $15,000 then in 2012. The first investment we got in the company to buy the first equipment we had. so there was cameras, there's two Sony cameras. We actually still have those Sony cameras. They're more than 10 years old. So we have those Sony cameras and a laptop to do our editing. It was a MacBook to do our editing. $15,000, 10,000 pounds sterling. And I should tell you something about how I got the 10,000 pounds. It's really, once I showed my diligence in managing the bank, in building the bank, once I showed Paul Skiller, I cared about what he cared about. And that's something I'd love to be able to share with young people, that one of the ways you get people, mentors, to be attracted to you is to care about what they care about. It's an easy way. It's a cheap way. You want Joe Abbas to be interested in what you're doing. The easiest way is to get interested in something that Joe Abbas is interested in. Get connected there. It's going to be super easy for me to be able to pay attention to somebody who's interested in something that I'm interested in. So that was a lesson. Once I proved to Paul Skiller, again, that's resourcefulness. Once I proved to Paul Skiller, I was interested and committed to drive his dream of building a bank in the country. He got interested in the stuff that I was interested in. Now, so that's how we got to 10,000 pounds. Share resourcefulness. Now, once we got that 10,000 pounds, we managed it so well that between 2015 to 2020, we got 100,000 investment in the media business, because we actually turned it into a full media business where it wasn't just producing stuff for the show ourselves. But he says, why not turn this to a business that we can be providing the service for the public, for the general public? So it became a business. We got an investment of $100,000 there. Now, it moved on from there. From there, we went on to a printing press. We got an investment of around $350,000, and down the line, a total of maybe $700,000. That's what we got for the entire printing press for the entire period. And then we built a consulting business that is now our enterprise development services, and added and kept adding, and we kept adding to the company, where in 2021, these companies went into a merger with Life by Design, IDT Labs, Inkymedia, and Grow Salon, and built a merged group whose valuation in August 2021 was northwards of $2 million. It was more than $2 million US dollars. That's why I said, it's from nothing. Well, it's from nothing. It's really from nothing. Now it may have taken 12 years to get to that point. It may have taken 12 years to get to that point, but it was from sheer resourcefulness. There was nothing there. Sheer resourcefulness. Using the natural gifts and talents and abilities that I had to attract and create the circumstances, the situations, the people, the resources that got us to where we are today. You see what I was saying? So it's not really about what you don't have. It's really always down to what you do with what you already have. Thank you for joining me on the show. If the stories I've shared today, the principles I've shared that transformed my life, that led me to create a business from nothing to a business that is valued over $2 million US dollars. If it's resonated with you and it's got you thinking about your own dreams and what's been holding you back, it's never about what you do not have. It's about you just making use of what you have today. If you like this, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. 3 things again: subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Remember again, it's not about what you do not have. It's really about you making use of what you have. We say thanks to our sponsors, courtesy of whom this show has been coming to you: AfriCell, AfriMoney, and RC Bank. Till we meet on the next video, I wish you all the best in this journey, the quest you're now on to create the life of your dreams. God bless.